There is no doubt that Michigan is the team to beat in the Big Ten. But will this be the year that the Wolverines get over the hump and finally make the national championship game? That is the question we're going to be asking all year long, and that's the question we're going to be answering today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We've beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. So if you want a guaranteed winning season, guaranteed winning picks, and guaranteed money right back in your pocket, this is the place for you. We're only one of the few places in the entire country that can guarantee that. So go sign up today for a full year-long subscription. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame to go ahead and access that. And of course, check out our mailing address. Send us some gear. We're kicking off our Big Ten predictions today. We'd love to get some Big Ten representation up here. We've got ACC, SEC, American, Big 12, no Big Ten, Pac-12 even with a new UCLA pennant. Thank you to our guy at South Tex. But we'd love some Big Ten representation, so check out that mailing address and send it over to us so we can continue to expand our Genie Nation from coast to coast. So let's talk some Michigan football. I love this team, and I love what Jim Harbaugh's been doing, now entering his 9th year in Ann Arbor. And here's the thing, right? He's brought some great success to Michigan, has made them a national power, national threat once again, but he has not won in the postseason since his first year back in 2015. Harbaugh is 1-6 in postseason games, including the last 2 college football playoff semifinal games. And last year, a game against TCU, where many thought going into the game the Wolverines were going to win. Felt pretty confident about it. And TCU pulled off the massive upset to get to the national title game. But you look at this year, Michigan is loaded. Many are saying this could be the best team that Harbaugh has had during his time in Ann Arbor. Look on offense. 8 starters are back after averaging over 40 points per game. They're going to average maybe more than that this year. JJ McCarthy returns at quarterback, was phenomenal last year with 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, takes great care of the football, also rushed for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. They arguably have the best running back room in the country this year, with Blake Corum returning after rushing for over 1,400 yards and 18 touchdowns last year, and Donovan returning after rushing for 991 yards, nearly 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Corum, also keep in mind, injured towards the end of last year, did not get to play in the game against Ohio State, did not get to play in the Big Ten Championship or the playoff game. I can't imagine what it would have been like had he been there. But Donovan a great replacement. This running back too, that 1-2 punch, going to be so tough to stop this year if you're facing the Wolverines. And they have one of the best offensive lines in the entire country to go along with that. Defensively, they're typically pretty strong. This year going to be no exception. They allowed 16.1 points per game last year, allowed just 98 rushing yards per game, and just 194 yards through the air. Now 7 starters are back on that side of the ball, including their top 5 tacklers, led by Junior Colson and Michael Barrett, both at linebacker. This is a team that from top to bottom, offensively, defensively, special teams, is going to be phenomenal, and arguably, as we said, could be better than the Michigan team that ran the table last year, going 13-0 before losing to TCU in the playoff semifinal. This is a team that is the team to beat in the Big Ten and could make the national championship. You take a look at their schedule, it's once again pretty dang favorable. I'll tell you right now, they're going to start 4-0 like that. The non-conference schedule is insanely easy, just like it was last year. They'll cruise past ECU, UNLV, Bowling Green, and I do believe they'll beat Rutgers. Rutgers certainly improving, no doubt about it, but they're not quite to the level of beating the better teams in their own division, such as Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, guys like that. Michigan's won 8 straight over the Scarlet Knights, 52-17 win last year. It's at home. I feel pretty confident they'll take easy care of the Scarlet Knights. Then they get into some tougher games after that. So 4-0 start, they're a top 5 team, maybe the top 3 team in the country. Go on the road to Nebraska. Nebraska team that is certainly entering rebuild mode under Matt Rule, although it's not necessarily a full rebuild. Nebraska could surprise a little bit this season. First true test for Michigan, no doubt about it. On the road, hostile environment, Nebraska team that's going to be way better than they were last year, though people are struggling to comprehend that. This is a team that defensively returns 8 starters and should be pretty solid. Has a great quarterback upgrade and Jeff Sims coming in, mobile quarterback, but has a decent arm too. I think Matt Rule is really going to develop him. Last time Michigan played in Lincoln, they only won 32-29. It was a very, very close game. Last year, though, in Ann Arbor, 34-3 win for Michigan. So which one's going to happen here? I'm expecting somewhere in the middle, maybe around a 14, 17-point win for the Wolverines. This is a Nebraska defense that still allowed 189 rushing yards per game last year, including 264 in the game against Michigan. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, they're going to have a pretty big day on the ground. Nebraska improving, but not nearly enough to take down one of the more elite teams in the entire country. So Michigan moved to 5-0, then goes on the road to Minnesota, which is not going to be an easy test either. This Minnesota defense is actually probably going to be one of the toughest defenses that Michigan faces all year long. The Golden Gophers allowing just 13.8 points per game, just 295 yards per game last year, now return 6 starters on that side of the ball. They're going to be really, really solid. We're talking about Wisconsin and Iowa, maybe Illinois. Don't sleep on Minnesota to maybe make a run for that Big Ten West crown. But, should be noted, Michigan has not lost in Minneapolis. They haven't lost at Minnesota since 1977. They just don't lose to Minnesota. They especially don't lose to Minnesota on the road. I do believe that the Golden Gophers offense is solid. Ethan Kaliak-Manis at quarterback, mobile quarterback, might be tough to stop. Sean Tyler transferring in from Western Michigan is going to be great, but the offense is not going to be enough to hang with the Wolverines. Of two great defensive teams, who owns that offensive edge? It's still Michigan. They go on the road, should take care of Minnesota. Again, similar to Nebraska, I'd say around a 14-ish point game, 17 maybe, but they get the win, and just like that, they are 6-0. 3 conference wins, 3 non-conference wins. They're going bowling, but that's not the ultimate goal here, right? They'll cruise past Indiana, no worries there, beat the Hoosiers by 21. I think they also cruise past Michigan State. Why am I brushing over one of the bigger rivalries in all of college football? Because I don't think Michigan State's going to be much of anything this year, if we're being completely honest. This is a rivalry game where I genuinely believe the Spartans don't have a shot against the Wolverines for multiple reasons. Michigan is better in every aspect of this game, from the coaching to the offense to the defense to the special teams. They've got them beat. The Wolverines won 29-7 over the Spartans last year. And then, to add extra fuel to this fire, the brawl. The brawl that broke out in the tunnel, where 7 Michigan State players basically jumped 2 Michigan players. Just basically assaulted them. It's ridiculous. It was hard to watch. It was sad to watch. And, it was honestly embarrassing if you're those Michigan State players. It's shameful. If you don't think that Jim Harbaugh is going to remind his team what the Spartans did in that tunnel after the game, if you don't think they're going to be thinking about that over and over and over again heading into that game, well, then you're sadly mistaken, because I guarantee there's so much into this. Michigan needs to win this game because they want to go to the playoff. They want to win the Big Ten. They want to win this game because it's a rivalry game. That's a lot of incentive. But then you add in what happened last year at the end of the game. Oh, man, I'm brewing on that. If I was Michigan, I'd be brewing on that since the day that game ended to the day they get to play them again on the field. I think Michigan destroys Michigan State on October 21st. Spartans are going to be dealing with a brand new quarterback, no Peyton Thorne. Top 2 receivers are gone. Defense wasn't all that great last year anyways. Michigan should win, and they should win comfortably. So going into the bye week, the Wolverines are undefeated still. Top 3 team in the country. They're looking great. Coming out of the bye week, I think they mopped the floor with Purdue. At home, off a week of rest, a Purdue team that's breaking in a new head coach and Ryan Walters coming in from Illinois, where he was the defensive coordinator. The Boilermakers might not be terrible. They got a great offensive coordinator in Graham Harrell, Hudson Card, quarterback transferring in from Texas. Defense also going to be pretty solid as well, but I just don't think they have enough to take down Michigan, especially in the Big House. It's going to be a year of growing pains, I think, for the Boilermakers. So Michigan wins that game big. And then if you look, they're undefeated. They're 9-0. Their 2 toughest games against Penn State and Ohio State come in the last 3 weeks of the year. So again, Michigan should cruise to 9-0 pretty easily. It's what they do against Penn State and Ohio State that's going to really dictate what this season is for them. Well, they go on the road to Penn State. Probably the biggest test of the year by far to this point. Typically, a game in Happy Valley, you side with the Nittany Lions. You look at them and go, God, it's so hard to play in Happy Valley. This Penn State team, no slouch at all. 16 returning starters. Drew Aller's the real deal. Nick Singleton's the real deal. Katron Allen's the real deal. That defense is phenomenal. 8 starters back, maybe the best secondary in the Big Ten. I mean, Penn State is loaded from top to bottom. And I very well could see Michigan losing this game. But I'm not going to call for it. The game is fortunate for Michigan, not the whiteout game, right? It's an 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff in Happy Valley. Will it be rocking? No doubt about it, especially considering Penn State could be a top 10 team at this point too. But It's not the whiteout game. It's not a night game in Happy Valley. That's going to really benefit Michigan here. Keep in mind, Michigan last year, guys, destroyed Penn State. They were trailing 17-16 early in the third quarter and then went on a huge run and won 41-17. 25-0 run like that, outgaining the Nittany Lions 563 yards to 268 yards. And a huge just discrepancy when it came to the yards there. You know, this Penn State team, again, I think it has the ability to contend for a Big Ten title. They have the ability to contend for a college football playoff spot. But with a new quarterback who maybe is going to be better than Sean Clifford, I do believe that. But with a new quarterback against this Michigan defense, I just don't see Penn State snagging the win here. Michigan has proven they can win in very tough environments before. I think they're going to prove it again. I think they are, from top to bottom, still the better team over the Nittany Lions, but it will be a close one-possession game, maybe the first one-possession game we see for Michigan in 2023. But I do think they survive Penn State. I do think they survive Maryland. Maryland certainly comes as a major trap game. On the road, sandwiched in between the two biggest games of the year. So you've got this emotional hangover from Penn State, whether they win it, a hard-fought battle, or lose it, down on their luck, but also the look-ahead spot to Ohio State. It's a tough spot. Maryland, no slouch, right? Talia Tagovailoa is phenomenal. The offense is going to be great, but the biggest concern for Maryland, more than anything, is the line of scrimmage. Both the offensive line and the defensive line, I have major concerns with, especially up front on that defensive line. I think Michigan, with one of the best offensive lines in the country, bullies Maryland up front. They typically don't struggle with the Terrapins. They've won 7 straight games, 6 of those coming by double digits. Last year, the 34-27 victory in Ann Arbor was the first one-possession game that had happened in forever. And keep in mind, that game had the score looking a little closer than the game really was. So they should beat Maryland, and then it all comes down to Ohio State. The game. The winner of this, depending on what Ohio State does, more than likely going to the Big Ten Championship. Michigan certainly going to the Big Ten Championship and winning the East if they beat Ohio State. If they lose, more than likely it's going to go to Ohio State. Playoff implications are on the line. I mean, as always, one of the biggest rivalries in all of college football is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. No doubt about it. Interesting, though, right? Michigan's won the last 2. They've won back-to-back games against the Buckeyes for the first time since 1999 and 2000. And they haven't won it in bad fashion. They've won it in convincing fashion. 45-23 last year in Columbus, 42-27 2 years ago in Ann Arbor. Let's go ahead and make it 3 in a row for Michigan over Ohio State. I love this game for Michigan. They've proven it. They've gotten the monkey off their back, right? For years and years and years, you know, Michigan's had the talent to beat Ohio State, but it was like this mental block. They couldn't get over the hump. Ohio State certainly had better teams, no doubt about it, but they couldn't get over the hump. But once they finally did, it was like, we can do this. And then to go on the road to Columbus and win the way they did last year, it's like, holy crap, we can do this again. And we can do it again and again and again. I'm not saying Michigan's going to keep winning and extending their winning streak in the series, but they're going to at least make it 3 straight. At home, with a trip to the Big Ten Championship on the line, college football playoff hopes on the line, a Michigan team that's arguably better than they were last year against an Ohio State team, breaking in a new quarterback in Kyle McCord, and a defense that's solid with 7 starters back, but couldn't stop the run to save their lives last year. I don't see Michigan losing this game at home. I just don't see it happening. Keep in mind, Ohio State last year allowed over 150 rushing yards 4 times, one of those coming to Michigan in the season finale. I think Michigan rushes for at least 150 again. They get the win at home, and the Wolverines finish the year undefeated for the second year in a row, 12-0, off to the Big Ten Championship game where they'll play at Wisconsin, where they'll play in Iowa, who knows who it may be, but they're going to the Big Ten Championship game. And even if they were to lose that Big Ten Championship game, which I don't know if I would bet on that, they probably will still get into the college football playoff. The Wolverines are playoff bound for the 3rd year in a row, and now it is time to answer the question, will they get over the hump and make the national championship game? So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Check out our mailing address. Send us some gear. We'd love to get some Michigan gear right here at the Gridiron Expert, represent the Wolverines and the Big Ten as we expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.